What's up, Drop Pod listeners? As always, you can listen to the Drop Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Pods. We're now on Apple Music, Audible, and Pandora as well. New episodes drop every Wednesday. You can find all of our content on YouTube at the Drop Golf Podcast and on our socials. That's Instagram and Twitter at the Drop_pod. No matter how you consume us, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Follow and listen along.
This episode is brought to you by the Law Office of Mallon and Tranger. Tom Mallon and Randy Tranger are board-certified trial attorneys who share more than 40 years of legal experience. They specialize in personal injury matters, workers' compensation cases, and criminal and municipal defense. As certified trial attorneys, they've recovered millions of dollars on behalf of people injured in accidents and employees injured at work. They have offices conveniently located in Freehold and Point Pleasant. For skilled and personalized legal representation, call Mallon and Tranger at 732-780-0230 or check out their website at tmallonlaw.com. Not only are they good people, they're good golfers too. This is the Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Poro, and this is Ryan Coulott.
What is up, everyone? Hope everyone had a good week. We're back at it again. We are coming at you with U.S. Open recap. First episode after that, so obviously we got a big one. But before we get to that, I want to tell you that our guest for today is Jack Simon. Just graduated from St. John's University. Jack's our, 47th St. John's guest that we've had, Mike? It seems like we're on a roll with them. But Jack actually, as a senior this past year, just a couple weeks ago, he won the Big East tournament as an individual, defeating a guy from Marquette. The Big East tournament's down in South Carolina. So Jack's from North Jersey, so he comes on, gives us a bunch of time, jumps on with Mike, and it talks about how he got into golf, his experience, the Big East tournament, what's next for him. Clearly a listener, or at least he did his homework on us, because he's guns blazing for our end of interview questions. So make sure you stick around for that. All right, Mike, U.S. Open. We didn't do too hot.
No, but before we start on the U.S. Open, I do want to give a quick little shout out here. Obviously I know today starts the first ever, the inaugural New Jersey Women's Open at Montclair Golf Club. Best of luck to all the women that are participating. It's the first time ever that the NJSGA is putting together a Women's Open. We've had some unbelievable guests on just from the state of New Jersey. We've had Ami on, we've had Riley Plitz on from Eagle Ridge, to name a few. And they're competing, and best of luck to them, to the other participants. And I hope they enjoy their 2 days out there at Montclair Golf Club.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Riley, Omni, and some of the other people who we've either been in contact with behind the scenes or just have kind of run into through this. That's going to be a great tournament. So, yeah, absolutely. Good luck. So, to the U.S. Open, a little bigger scale than the New Jersey Open. Cantlay did not win, nor did Max Homa. So on that regard, we look at, okay, who did better? Well, Homa didn't make the cut. So it's tough to say that I picked a good one there.
No, Cantlay was tied for 14th.
Yeah, Cantlay kind of just stuck around.
Yeah, he just dilly-dallied left and right, plodded along. Nothing crazy when you look at his scores, 71, 71, 67, 69. Played solid golf, but never, ever was truly in contention. Max played a great round one, right around the leaderboard there, and then just kind of blew up with a 76 in round two and just demoralized any chance of making the cut.
Yeah, I didn't think that would be very possible. I thought he would, I thought he could shoot, even if it was just a couple over par, but 6 over is not gonna, you're not gonna make any, you're not gonna scare anybody with a 6 over there.
No, and obviously trying to make the cut, that's the last thing you want to do on a Friday, is to throw up a high number like that to just kind of,
for sure,
have no shot whatsoever.
But yeah, Cantlay was, T14 again, never scaring anybody. was he like 1 or 2 over after the first day, something like that, and then same thing second day, but just kind of stuck around, I guess, and under on the weekend, I think I saw. So I remember.
Yeah, played much better on the weekend. Much better on the weekend.
4 under one day, 1 or 2 under the next day, something like that. So, again, not anywhere in contention, but T14 is T14. Going a couple under at a U.S. Open is always pretty good. So, do I get any credit for my Ricky Fowler pick?
Yeah, I would think your option B was solid. And I think everybody clearly was rooting for Ricky or Rory in that last round. I think even if you listen to Dan Hicks and, you think back to when we had Dan Hicks on, like it sounded like the audience, golf Twitter, was all rooting hard for a named guy. And nothing taking away from Wyndham Clark or that. But I think a lot of people prefer household names doing very well. And when you really look at the leaderboard, I mean, 4 of the top 5 names on the leaderboard are big-time names. I mean, you got Rory, you got Scotty, you got Cam Smith, and you got Ricky Fowler right there. So, like...
Tommy Fleetwood,
right? Yeah.
Who 63 on Sunday is going to get into that mix. Yeah.
Yeah, and had a putt on 18 to go 62, which is even crazier.
And he putted like I usually do.
Yeah, so... I think when you think a lot about the tournament itself, it definitely seemed empty in terms of watching it and seeing how many people were there. It didn't seem like this, the grandstands were crowded whatsoever. And I don't know if that's because it's LA and it's golf and, a super exclusive golf club. Like, I don't know really what the deal was there, but
you're fighting with a lot of stuff.
There definitely didn't seem like a crowd.
There's a lot of stuff in LA to do. I saw something with that, and on the sheet, Mike, I got a few like points for the U.S. Open, and that's one thing that I saw on Instagram or Twitter or something like that there was, and I'm gonna mess up the numbers, but there was something like 50,000 tickets sold per day, and the club bought most of them.
I heard that rumor, and I didn't know if that was
40,000.
true.
Yeah, I mean, if it's on the internet, it's got to be true, right? Isn't that the thing? But I saw it on multiple places, so I kind of took it at its word based on how few people were there and seeing that. So I don't know if that takes into any consideration, but it did look empty at points where where you could see people. But I didn't really recognize it watching Thursday, Friday until I saw it on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and saw that people were like, hey, there's not a lot of people there. And then I was like, oh yeah, there aren't, because there's so many shots where like there's not a lot of area for people to stand, because they're so far back in the woods, you just kind of looking down the fairway, and it didn't really occur to me or become a thing until I saw that it was a thing.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's because of the exclusivity that LACC has. I mean, some of their rules, they don't even if you're a celebrity, you're not even getting into the golf club. It's just like one of their rules. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. So I didn't know if that like played a role, that they didn't really want any of like, Joe Public out there rolling around their golf course. But I'd then say to the USGA, like, it's a major championship. It's your championship. You're choosing that golf course. There needs to be kind of like an open invite, more or less. Like, why can't I come? I don't really care where it is. I want to come watch the best players in the world play golf.
Right. Yeah, it did seem funny. I don't know, maybe there's a ton of stuff to do in LA as well, and that's not high on people's priority list. I also know, again, personally, I know LA traffic sucks, and I wonder if that has anything to do with it in like the area or section of LA that it is. It's tough to get to. Obviously, the houses around it are enormous, so you don't have a lot of like the quote unquote downtown LA population. While you can see it, but that's LA. I mean, you can go. It took me going to the beach from where my brother is. It's like 11 miles. It took me an hour and a half to get there.
Yeah, that's insane.
So it's just like. it's crazy. So I wonder if that has something to do with it too. But that was, you look at like the gate numbers, and there was shockingly not a lot of people that went in. So that's a tough one to start with. But I mean, yeah, to your point, I was pulling for Ricky or Rory. Again, not that I don't like Wyndham Clark or his story, or everyone's got a story though. We've talked about that before. Everybody's got something to say. Everybody's got something to everyone's had a journey or an experience, and we just don't know Wyndham Clark's because his best finish at a major hasn't played in a Masters yet, and his best finish at a major is 75th. So I don't really know a lot about him. I did think this was cool though, that Rory won the Wells Fargo as his first tournament, and then won his U.S. Open as his next tournament, and that's what Wyndham Clark just did.
That's a good point.
That was pretty cool.
Never thought of that. Yeah, I never put those two together, but that's interesting. I don't think Wyndham Clark is going to have Rory's career, but
our guy Dan Hicks mentioned it.
I get that. I like that one. That's an interesting one.
It was cool. So again, not that I don't like Wyndham Clark, I just don't know anything about him. So of course I'm rooting for Ricky and his comeback, and like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if he would make a run at it. And other than shit the bed on Sunday, he had a great tournament.
And great tournament.
Rory was looking forward to, again, I think you just got guys there that people know, so they're rooting for those because they're the better known stories. Maybe not necessarily even the better story. Like Wyndham Clark lost his mother and has all that, and transfers schools, and grinds on the Corn Ferry Tour, and just got his first win. That's a great story in its own right, but it's not known, so people don't root for this story that they don't know. They know the Rory story. They know the Ricky story. They know the Tommy Fleetwood story. They know all these other guys, so that's something to hang on to and to root for. So
yeah, I also think that a lot of us, I maybe this is, things I've read and how I believe, but I think we also do like that, like Tiger Woods dominance of having one guy that like dominates the sport. And sometimes when the underdog wins, it's if it's a regular tournament, some of us are like, okay, it's just the John Deere. But when it comes to the majors, it's like such a big deal. And I think that's why like seeing Rahm win at Augusta and then Brooks win at the PGA, it just would have made it even better, I guess. And again, not to take it away from Wyndham Clark, but to see Scotty's name up there, or Rory's name. Yeah, or Ricky's name up there. And then it's like, wow, okay, man, look at who has won the majors this year. It's like cream of the crop. Mm-hmm. And nothing against Wyndham Clark, I get it. He's number 13 in the world. Like, he's a very good golfer, yes. But the name recognition doesn't carry the way the others do.
Yeah. I have on the sheet, I have Tiger, Mike, because I think he took the words right out of my mouth. I think every time that we have one of these, it puts Tiger's dominance into perspective, because every time that Tiger was in contention at a major, his Sunday scores are incredible. He's able to take the pressure of a Sunday, and it's almost like it's no different from the other days of the tournament. Whereas look what the pressure did to Ricky. He's not able to hold on to the lead because he doesn't play well on a Sunday. Even those other guys, like we were waiting for Rory to like knock down a putt or, knock it close or have this not miraculous shot, but the shot that we know that Rory can hit. And it just never clicked. He never went on that run that like to shoot a 31 on the back nine, that like we're looking for those players to like big players make big plays in big moments. Wyndham Clark did that, and nobody else did. Honestly, the only other person was Tommy Fleetwood.
Well, yeah, I think to Rory's point, I mean, listen, he had 36 putts.
Yeah.
And you were waiting the entire day like, all right, one has got to drop. I know they're not like kick-ins, but you're waiting for that one to just go in to give him some momentum, to put a little bit of pressure on Wyndham Clark. And I think the wedge he hit on 14 was just brutally bad under Rory's circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
And Wyndham tried giving it to him. I mean, when you think about it, like 15, he makes a bogey. 16, he makes another bogey. And then, no offense, 18, he hits like a slap fade. And thank God for LACC's 18th fairway being a mile wide.
Oh, my God.
I mean, he frankly Mito Pereira'd that thing. Yeah. Thank God it's fairway. So like, I felt like he gave Rory every chance, but when you go out there and you have 36 putts in the final day, like, that's just not going to get it done. And the fact is, if you think about, all he needed was one putt to drop. And he gets into an 18-hole playoff on Monday, and who the hell knows? And I think everybody would bet the ranch on a head-to-head 18-hole match, Rory over Wyndham Clark. But Wyndham Clark, his short game was unreal. He got up and down at some dicey spots. And even when he saved bogey on the par 5, it was like,
that was
wow,
huge. Yep.
Wow. And then on 18, he had a 60-footer. He had a 2-putt. No offense, we're all getting nervous over 60-foot and probably leaving it 5-6 feet short.
Right. And he puts it to
12
5-6. Yeah. It was
the game was over.
Yeah, that was incredible. And I actually like the drive on, what was that, hole 14, where he's waiting. He's trying to go for the green in 2.
God,
he's
the
waiting
par
for
5.
I did give him credit because that was the first time he did try to give it away a whole bunch, but he did show poise, composure, guts, whatever you want to call it.
That 3-wood he hit on 14?
The 3-wood after waiting that long. Mike, we've played enough golf to know that I can't wait like that. That's not, I can't do that.
Yeah, we're topping it.
He's I'm just like, I'm frustrated, and then I'm gonna, and it's gonna be one hell of a layup with a 3-wood, 50 yards from where I was standing already. So it's just like, he hits that shot, and it's like, that was like that or the putt on 18, just because of how big it was. But like, that's his winning shot, because there was really no other one. No one would have faltered him for waiting for what felt like 15 minutes for them to finish. Rory's got to find his ball. They got to identify it. It's plugged. Okay, where do we drop now? Like, go through the steps of the rules there. Again, 15, 20 minutes for them to finish that hole that he's waiting in the middle of the fairway. That's such a hard shot to, like, you're getting tight at that point. And even just like, it's like icing the kicker,
Yeah. And he knifes that 3-wood up there. He couldn't hit it any better. And I agree. I think that shot gave him enough cushion to kind of just, wobble his way in to get the win.
Yeah, and wobble's a good word, because it's, again, he tried to give it up multiple occasions. No one was willing to take it from him. And fed for various reasons. The course was tough. Those last 3 holes were brutally long, whatever the case may be. But yeah, he was able to withstand that and do just enough.
Equity 3 Real Estate is a full-service commercial real estate brokerage, management, and development company based out of Paramus, New Jersey. Equity 3 Real Estate focuses heavily in northern New Jersey. They cover industrial, multifamily, office, retail, and vacant land properties, as well as specializing in medical offices. They manage over 400,000 square feet of varying property types for passive investors. Their clients range from small to mid-range building owners and larger brokerages. So if you're looking for the right team to help you win, go check them out at www.equity3re.com or give them a call at 201-261-4300. That's 201-261-4300. You won't be disappointed. What'd you think of the golf course?
I was going to ask you. I loved the look of it. I thought it looked really pretty on TV. I thought it was. I liked its old school look to it. They had. I'm gonna miss his name now, and he's the famous architect that redid it. What's his? Gil Hance. They had Gil Hance on, and he was talking about how they looked at old photos and tried to make it look the way. If you had put it in black and white, it would have looked like I was watching something from the 20s or teens, 1920s or 19 teens. I thought it looked really pretty. I like that like wispy grass look. I don't know how I feel about having such long, hard holes at the end there, but there's something to it. It's a U.S. Open. There's usually carnage, and there wasn't, but...
Yeah, I think, listen, I don't know if I really cared for the golf course. I think it was kind of cool. I think it'd be one of those things to play it once or twice. It's cool. But I still have that old school mentality that one time a year we are going to see straight carnage from the pros really struggle. And I just can't get myself to agree with a guy being 10 under in a U.S. Open. To me, the U.S. Open is like these guys scrambling for pars, making a few birdies, throwing in a double every so often. Like, I can't come to grips with the double-digit winners. Like, I can't. Like, I get it. You're going to say, well, past years it's only been -6. So, like, to me, like, the winner of the U.S. Open should be -3. Let these guys complain for a year, for 1 week out of the whole year.
Yeah.
They can complain.
And I'm actually good with it being 6 because, you went 2 or 3 under one day. You were able to knock a couple close. It was your shot shape or whatever. But I do like the carnage of the U.S. Open. I do. I'm with you there. I like watching them.
Once a year is fine.
I like watching them play golf like the normal person does. And obviously it's not apples to apples because that, they're struggling from 7,500 yards, and I'm struggling from 6,500 yards. So you got that, you got all those other things. But I like the carnage. Is it this simple? Should they have shortened the fairways, the width of the fairways?
See, I don't know if you can do that necessarily, knowing that, like, is that the golf course that these? I mean, like, you're completely then redoing it. Like, I can't lie. As I look ahead to next year, knowing that it's going to Pinehurst number 2, like, I know it's not going to be -10 there.
No.
It's not. And I think there is those greens, I think, as much as they were talked about this past week at LACC, like, I understand that. But there was also a comment somewhere on Twitter, I forget who made it, that when the greens were that true and that pure and rolled that well, like, these guys are so damn good, they're going to make them. And I'm not saying that they're not that good everywhere else. I'm just saying when you think about Pinehurst and they're like turtleback greens, like if you miss it by the slightest bit, man, that thing is rolling off the green 10, 15 yards.
You get punished for errant shots.
Right.
Even
And
if
so
it's slightly errant, yeah.
Right. And I get it when you look back to the last U.S. Open that was at Pinehurst, Martin Keimer won. He was 9 under par. But then the second place was -1. It wasn't even close. Martin Keimer was the only one that played out of this world golf. So when you look at the field, 2 other guys were -1. Martin Keimer just ran away with it.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I think the U.S. Open should be. You get a handful of guys under par, and everybody else has been, wasn't able to struggle. Yeah, I guess you made a good point. Like at Pinehurst, you miss the putt, and you have limited room to miss the putt. Maybe an extra 6 inches, but 7 inches is rolling to 7 feet, or it's off the green. Whereas these guys they're trying to make the putt going past the hole because they're making 3-footers every time. They're not going to miss those. So if there's in that aspect, if there's no punishment for, again, I wouldn't call like that's their strategy. They're going to try to go at it. They don't want to come up short because they're missing a putt. A putt that never gets there is never going in. So
right, and I think
they know that if
play.
it goes 3 feet past, they're making that putt 99% of the time.
Yeah, and I think at a place like Pinehurst, knowing that if you're going to be aggressive on a putt, like shit, that thing could go off the green.
Right.
So you're a little more defensive when you putt, which makes you a little more hesitant and makes you think a little more, so it makes it a little more difficult.
For sure.
Listen, I think all in all, it was a good week.
But
what
I was getting at, Mike, was that I don't think LACC's, and again, I wouldn't call them errant putts, but I don't think they punished them. Like they didn't roll off and keep rolling and far away. There's none of that like there is at Pinehurst.
No, they're bigger greens. They're not hunched on like everybody says, like on a turtleback, the way Donald Ross does all his greens. So it's a completely different golf course.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. And I guess now that I know that it comes back to the East Coast and to seeing what Pinehurst is about, like to me, that's like a prototypical U.S. Open golf course.
Do you think that the U.S. Open should be played at, let me give you a number here, 12 different courses, just rotate 12 different So every 13th year, it's coming back to Pinehurst.
Well, it's every 5 years now. It's coming back to Pinehurst. They made that starting next year.
No. I got that. They have, but there's a limited rotation. Do you think there should only be like, hey, these 12 courses are the only ones hosting?
Listen,
or do you like when it's at new places? Because this was a new place, right?
It was. I mean, it's typically, like you said, it's always at the same spots. I mean, when you think about like the future sites, like I'm pulling it up right now, you got Pinehurst, then it comes back every 5 years to Pinehurst. You got Oakmont, you got Shinnecock, you got Pebble Beach, you got Wingfoot, you got Marion, you got Oakland Hills. So like you got all like named spots.
Right, those are all.
And I'm okay with that because I think as a viewer, I think it goes back to the conversation we had with Michelle Wee. Like we're able to remember the holes a lot better than these random spots that get chosen for majors, because then it's like, wait, what was 7 again at Pebble? Oh, the par 3.
Yeah.
Oh, 18 at Pebble, the par 5. You got all down the Pacific Ocean all along the left side. Like those are the things that resonates with us as viewers.
Right.
And I do like, yes, I guess to answer your question, the answer is yes. Like I do think it should be at the same spots for the U.S. Open on a rotating basis. Yes.
Slightly related question, I guess. Should it be at places that are more accessible to the public?
That's a tough one because that's,
you know what I mean,
you're
though.
talking
Like
about a lot of
LACC,
maintenance.
but I mean, like LACC, the normal person can't play. Super exclusive,
No.
super expensive. Like you said, no, there's celebrities have been denied there. But like Pinehurst, while it's $600 for a round, it's still, you could go play it. It's public. Pebble Beach, public. When it's that's it in
Beth Page Black. In this
Bethpage back.
Yeah.
Do you think it should be at public courses because it's an open? It's supposed to be like the in theory it's open to everybody. You know, so it should be a course that's open to everybody.
Yeah, I get your point there. I think that's a difficult ask in a lot of respects because I can only imagine the amount of work that goes onto it. I did think I just heard that people were already scouting out Pinehurst for next year this past week while the tournament was going on. So they're clearly doing their work year out. And if you start shutting things down to the public, it's, I don't know. Listen, I get what you're saying. I think the idea that it mixes in Pinehurst number 2, it mixes in Pebble Beach, I think that's probably your taste in terms of public golf. Like that's what you're going to get. You'll sprinkle in a Bethpage Black every so often. But in terms of everything else, like it's probably hard for them to get a place like that up to the par that it needs to. And I'm not talking about what they shoot. I'm talking about in terms of course maintenance, availability. Can it be hard enough?
I think you could. I do. I think there's enough courses out there that would be able to do it. Now, like,
why don't you see if they'll bring it to Charleston Springs North?
But you know what? so here, logistically, I don't know how much they could make the course longer, right? And you can't go to both courses because Charleston North is nowhere near Charleston South. So it's not like
don't tell me right now you're going down the road of entertaining a U.S. Open at Charleston.
What I'm saying is I think there's enough public facilities that have the land size to allow the amount of people. So I think you could do that at Charleston Springs with the amount of people that would be there. You know what I mean? Does that make sense at all? What I said?
In terms of land?
In terms of land, yep.
You're not selling me on anything else other than those guys shooting 55s out there.
Right. Obviously, Charleston Springs is not hosting anything. But I'm talking about like courses out there that could host something. I'm trying to think of one out, like Cog Hill that used to host the BMW outside Chicago. Like that one, they could roll those greens. It's long as hell. There's a lot of property there that could be used. Like that's one that could be, like there's another one to throw in the rotation. I don't know. I think it would be something. I don't think it's at enough public courses, I guess is my point. I'm with you. I like it when it's at, when you get to see Oakmont or Shinnecock or Winged Foot or I like when it's at those iconic places, but I think that you could also build iconic places that are public into there, outside of Pinehurst, Bethpage, and Pebble.
I get it. All County Exteriors is a third-generation premier exterior home remodeling company celebrating over 40 years in business. In a remodeling world where the average remodeling company only survives in business for only 5 years, All County Exteriors has stood the test of time, providing their customers with top-quality roofing, siding, windows, and doors. They service homeowners and builders with anything from small repairs to large additions. All County Exteriors is not just limited to construction. They have a deep passion for giving back to their community and are charitable supporters of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the American Cancer Society, Roofs for Troops, and Parents of Autistic Children. If you have planned to do any exterior remodeling, call the experts at All County Exteriors for a free, no-obligation estimate for your project. Just call 732-370-2780 or email them at info@allcountyonline.com. That's 732-370-2780 for All County Exteriors for all your remodeling needs.
Let's get off the U.S. Open and come back to Jersey. It's been a while, and we've been super busy with our own personal lives and stuff outside the podcast. We never did reviews for Shore Gate or Seaview when we played them.
I can gladly go through my opinions on both spots.
Okay. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do them live. Mike's going to we're both going to review both courses. We'll both put our numbers out there. But Mike's going to review Shore Gate. I'm going to review Seaview. So, Mike, you want to start or do you want me to?
I mean, whatever. I mean, I guess maybe we should do Shore Gate because that's where he played first.
Okay.
Okay, so let me start here. I'll attack Shore Gate first. You know, I was very, very, very impressed with Shore Gate. I thought the golf course was really cool. I thought that stretch that you and I spoke about on the back nine driving over the bridge was absolutely amazing.
Best part.
I didn't know if I really had many bad things to say. You know, I definitely thought the front nine was like not nearly as good as the back, but it really wasn't like a terrible, terrible front nine. So obviously I'll go through the report card as we go. The course conditions for me were very good. You know, I thought the front nine's greens weren't as clean as the back nines, but overall the fairways were in good shape. The rough was well manicured. Everything was pretty solid. And if the front nine's greens were as good as the back nines, it probably would have been a damn near 10. But with that being said, I'm giving it an 8 on the course conditions. In terms of pace of play,
I think that's fair.
You know, I mean, when it comes to pace of play, I didn't really think we had many issues whatsoever. You know, we moved. We were twosome. They said it was a crowded day. Maybe every so often we caught somebody, but, you know, we were able to film some content while we were out there. So on a Memorial Day weekend afternoon, to me, I'm going to give that a 9 in terms of pace of play. The course maintenance, again, I didn't have anything bad to say. I think if you kind of combine that in the course conditions aspect of it, like, again, there wasn't anything in my mind that stood out that was like crappy, terrible, needs some TLC there. So to me, I'm going 9 on the course maintenance. And I think this is when it gets kind of interesting because we didn't tip it out at Shore Gate. And clearly you could have. But
well, we did.
Well, we
but they
did.
Didn't have they didn't have
the championship tees weren't set up.
Championship tees out.
Fair point. But I definitely thought it was a tougher golf course. There were some holes that were a little easier, but I do recall some of the par threes in the front were long, which made it a little challenging. So to me, like I'm going in the course difficulty as like I'm like stuck in between an 8 and a 9. I'm going to say it was an 8 on course difficulty. I think if we had those back tees were set up and we dabbled with them, I think I'd go 9.
There were a couple that we saw that were like, that's going to change this golf course significantly. golf holes significantly. There were some that were I don't, what hole was that you had to like go up another level, like you were over ravine, over a little, like there was like brush and stuff that you had to go over from the back tees that we didn't have to go over.
Yeah, no doubt. There was definitely some spots on there that was like, that stood out more so than others. But I would say, so to me, I'll stick with it as an 8 on the difficulty. Now, the practice facilities was kind of interesting because we got there and, we were looking to see if we can sneak out a little earlier than the tee time said. So we didn't take full advantage of it. But from my recollection, that they had a grass driving range, okay, that a ton of people were using. The putting green was big. I just wish the putting green had more holes in it. I feel like there was 4 holes for a very large putting green.
It was the green. The putting green was enormous, and you're right. There were only 4 holes. Yeah,
right. So to me, I was
many more.
Yes, because then you felt like you were putting on top of people, and we all know.
You could have doubled it. You could have put 8 holes in there, and it wouldn't have felt like you were on top of it. Like you weren't. You would eat. Yeah, there. No reason not to have more than 4 holes there.
Totally agree. And like I mentioned to you that day, there was a little chipping area back there behind what I think was their cart barn. Like there was a little chipping area. There was one green that sat up kind of like on a perch. Mm-hmm. So they had everything there that you would want if you were looking to, quote, really warm up before a round. But I think the one thing the putting green kind of just, left maybe a little sour taste in my mouth. So I'm going 8 on the practice facilities. More holes on the putting green, more options. I think that jumps up a little bit. But again, it had a full range. It had a chipping area. It had a putting green. So in terms of what you need, it was there. Now the pro shop was a little small. It looked like the head pro had his little shop set up right inside, no door, nothing that separated himself from that. And I don't know if that could be a good thing or a bad thing.
I thought that was very strange.
Yeah, it just was different. I don't know if I've seen that before. But there wasn't anything that like drew my eye to it. It wasn't like a wow factor. To me, it was like just probably a prototypical public golf courses pro shop. Like more or less like what you see is what you get. We're not here to glam you. Probably not a ton of people are buying things in the pro shop. So I'm just going to go generic with a 7 there. Nothing that was like the wow, but it wasn't like, a dumpster fire in there. Food and beverage. Listen, the cart girl was out. The 19th hole right there, they had a little like veranda that was outside, out the deck area where they could have drinks.
Mm-hmm. I like that they wheeled you right past the halfway house too, right? That little like halfway hut kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So to me, like in terms of like, if you needed something, that was there. There was no 2 ways around it. So to me, like, unlike when we first did this back at Ballamore, when the golf course was just closed and nothing was available, like this place was hopping. And again, it was Memorial Day weekend, so that definitely changes things. So I'm going to give it a 9 because, listen, if you wanted something, you had the option to get it.
Yeah, totally agree.
Accessibility organization. I guess there wasn't anything that I thought that was like, it was hard to get. I jumped on the website, got a tee time. They communicated with me if via email if I needed something. Like I didn't think there was anything issues there. Clearly, it's a very good spot because it was hard to get a tee time the way we snagged one and got lucky. So to me, it's just like the generic. I'm just throwing it an 8 there. On-course vibe. Listen, it was nice. It was just you and I. There was no one there bothering us. It was easy. We flowed. We moved. Played good golf. I'm giving that a 9. And then my personal opinion is, again, I know I loved the golf course when I left. I thought it was very good. It was fun. It was interesting. It's a place I highly would recommend to people. Like, listen, if you're down in that area, you got to go check it out. So I'm throwing a 9 there as well. And I know I haven't added all these up, but it looks to be a rather high score. And then when it says to additional notes, listen, I guess I would just say this. It's a spot that you and I had heard a lot about. It was a spot that you and I had put on our list to go and see. and I was glad that we got there. So if you're anywhere within, I'd say, an hour to a max, I'd say hour and a half. I don't know if you need to drive that much further.
I mean, I drove an hour and a half, and I was hesitant when you wanted to go that far because I was like, oh, that's so far. But it was. I have no qualms about driving down there. I don't know if I'm playing it 5, 6, 7 times a summer from an hour and a half away. But if you're an hour and a half away from Shore Gate and you're looking for somewhere new to get to from someone who personally did it, because I know you're closer down there, an hour and a half was fine to play that course. It was that good. Yeah.
Especially with the price.
That is also huge, for sure.
And I think that needs to be known is that we played it on a Sunday afternoon, on a Memorial Day weekend, and what did we spend?
$75.
$75. You can't beat that.
With a cart.
With a cart. You can't beat that. So to me, like, all pros coming out of a place like that. So I guess I need to click the submit button here, and you will be able to see what my score is on your end.
I will. Let's see who we got here. We got you.
What's a tally?
Well, the additional notes is NA.
Yeah, I didn't feel like typing that out.
84.
That's it? I guess I would have thought higher. Now listen.
Unless this is wrong.
Good.
Hold on. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
84. 84.
Yeah.
Not a good golf score. But, listen. I don't know.
So
it was very good. My gradings may be hard.
So let me ask you this. Because I like to do this. When you thought of a score for that place, pre-doing this, does 84 match? Was it mid 80s for you, or was it higher?
No, it was higher. But the same way when I think back to Ballamore, and I don't remember what my score was at Ballamore, but I would have said my score at Ballamore was higher than a 79. I remember it was a 79 because I was blown away.
So okay, let me ask you this: which one was nicer, Shore Gate or Little Mill?
Little Mill.
Okay, Little Mill's an 88. Shore Gate was 84. I think when we have so many of these, you take one here, one there, 2 for this. When you take so many off that we're not going to take off when you go play like a Ridgewood, like if we look at that, like if we look at like Ridgewood, Liberty National, Bayonne, when you look at like those higher
Manasquan River,
when you look at those upper echelon ones, those are going to be the mid to high 90s. Whereas Shore Gate was beautiful, I would have guessed that you would have put it a little higher, but I would have, like, if you had, like, I don't know if it's topping 91. Because I also agree that Little Mill was nicer.
I guess if you had asked me, I would have said Ballamore is like, without me getting the definite numbers, I would have said Ballamore's like 88, and I would have said Shore Gate's probably in the same ballpark. To me, like, they're very similar golf courses. 88, right. 89, like, not 90s.
Right, but you didn't play Ballamore in conditions. So, like, that's 79. I get it. But we got to rate the course on how we played it. Shore Gate, like you said, I would have thought a little bit higher, but not a ton higher. Like 87 to 84 isn't a huge huge break.
It's where it lies.
Yeah.
So 84, I'll take it. I recommend it. $75 in a cart. Sunday afternoon, Memorial Day weekend. Go hit it up. Now, let's hear what you have to say about Seaview, because I know if I'd probably asked you after the front 9 that day, you would have said 0. Forget this place. I hate this place. It's a 0. But now that you're on the spot, let's hear your breakdown of this bad boy.
So let's go. Mike shouted that he was going to take Shore Gate, and that left me to start thinking about what I was going to say about Seaview. I did not have many positive things to say at the beginning.
They need to hear about this. Because I think after, that episode when we talked about Seaview and your experience and your frustrations and your anger hitting an all-time high, we got to hear this number.
Yeah. So again, for those that didn't listen or don't know, I played absolutely awful on the first 10 holes. Front nine was abysmal. I got slaughtered. It was a rough one. What did I shoot? 47.
It was like, I don't even remember.
Didn't I shoot
49, 37?
It was 12 strokes. 49-37 is what my split was.
Yeah.
And that's with a double on 10. So played much better on the back. So if you didn't know or didn't listen, I had a tough half around there. But here we go. I'm happy to do it because this is what we're doing, right? This is why we're doing this. Course conditions. I mean, I don't know if they can get that place in any better shape. We played it right before. We were the last tee time before it shut down. So they shut it down for a few days, and then the women come for their practice rounds on Monday. So we played it the very last time that anybody, the public, could have played it. I think the course conditions were great. I thought they were a 9.
Hard to argue. Hard to argue. That place is not going to be any nicer than that.
And again, if I'm looking at like, okay, is Seaview, Plainfield, or Ridgewood, or Hamilton Farms? No, not places that we've played, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think it's not on that upper echelon of courses. It's not the Liberty National. It's not Bayonne. And I almost want to reserve those course conditions, like 10s for those courses. Like, I imagine that their course conditions would be better. But to your point, I don't think Seaview can get it in any better shape. It was in great shape. Pace of play, we didn't wait all day. I mean, and there was nobody behind us. We were able to take our time out there. We spent a lot of time looking for my golf balls, which allowed the foursomes in front of us to go ahead. I thought that was a 9 as well. I thought that would be a good, I had no problems with our pace of play. The course maintenance, here's our problem with this. They're building the grandstands there and doing the maintenance while we're playing. So had it been finished, it's probably a higher number, right? But I think there were some parts that were either trampled down or they had stacks of like clearly like pipes were just there. They just started putting stuff up. So I'm going to give that. Oh, that's tough because I don't want to be too harsh, but I do want to make it known. I think I'm going to go 8. This is one where I wish it was a 7.5 because I'm flirting between 7 and 8, and I think an 8's fair. Because again, I also don't want to give. The next day the grass is going to be healed because it wasn't like things were there for too long or anything like that. Difficulty is where I think this is. Is where we're going to chuckle. I thought it was pretty hard, but I also played like garbage. So it's tough to say, like, was the course really hard, or was I just not swinging the golf club like a human being? But I thought that was an 8. I thought it was hard. They were getting it ready for the women. So yeah, I thought it was an 8. Again, one where I wish I had half numbers. Like, I'd probably go 8.5. And the only reason it's not a 9 is because, again, I played well on the back with 2 birdies. Probably should have been a third and just didn't. So, the practice facilities. I think this is where Seaview gets hit hard. They have a putting green that I don't know. It's big. It does have a bunch of holes. Here's the Seaview's putting green has more holes and is probably about half the size of Shore Gate's. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, 100%.
Maybe
100%.
Not quite half, but Shore Gate's is enormous, I felt like. They have a driving range. It's not really close to where you go for the Bay course. There's not like a chipping area. I don't know if there's like a bunker area to work at over on the driving range. Quite frankly, I've played the course a few times. I've never seen or been over to the driving range, which might be part of the reason why I play poorly there. I get out of the car and I walk to the first tee. So that could be a reason. I'm going to go 7. on the practice facilities. I think the pro shop is top notch. I think Jeff has that place. He's got a lot of great gear. I think he's got a great eye for what looks cool in their logo, coloring, product, all that kind of stuff. I think he does a really good job with that. I think it's a pretty, it's not small by any means. I wouldn't say it's big, but it's a fairly decent size pro shop. And then if you kind of put in like that hallway that goes down to the locker room and stuff, if you want to add that in, I think the pro shop's a 9. I think they do a great job there.
Yeah, listen, I when you first walk in that pro shop, you may have like a preconceived notion that it's on the smaller side.
The outside gives it that look as to like we're going into like almost like a danky area, like just how it's situated.
You're looking like you're walking to like a little 4x4 shed.
Yep.
But then when you walk in and you get to experience the pro shop and the history in there,
yep,
I totally agree. It's definitely the outside doesn't do it justice as to what's on the inside.
Correct. And this also shouldn't be undersold. Like if you want to put this in with the pro shop, I thought the staff was wonderful. I thought they were friendly, they were attentive, all that stuff. That I think we can kind of put that in there. I thought they were good there. Food and beverage. They don't have a halfway house. The cart girl is roaming around. I thought she was out there. We saw her a few times. We didn't take advantage. Maybe that was my problem. I should have taken advantage earlier.
Yeah, you took advantage when you needed to take advantage.
Yeah.
When you're ready to quit.
We didn't hit the 19th hole. I don't know if you've been inside there. They got a pretty good little bar. Yeah, I'd call it more of like it's more like a sit-down dining room lunch than it is like a 19th hole kind of bar. But they do have that bar right across the street, right next to the first hole, which I know people use a lot of. So that is there. To me, not having a halfway house is a little, knocks it a little bit. And I don't know if that cart girl does both courses. It's actually maybe she stays on one side. Not that I didn't feel like we wanted for anything, but maybe we could have seen her one or two more times on her loops. But I think I'm gonna go. But even that's not it. I think not having the halfway house hurts for me. I think I'm gonna go 7, because if I'm looking at it, I think Shore Gate had better.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think we should point out here that food and beverage has nothing to do with the hotel or resort there. We're talking about the golf, food and beverage at Seaview. They might have world-class dining in there for, in that, and I've only walked through it, but in that like lunchroom, for dinners or whatnot, this is strictly focusing on the golf course side of the food and beverage. Accessibility and organization, they were very organized. For us, it was very accessible, but we were interviewing, going down with Jeff. So I don't know how to. I'm actually open to some suggestions here, Mike. I don't know how I do this for accessibility.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a bias thing for us because we weren't really just general public getting out there and playing. So
right. I'll tell you what. Let me do this. You talk. I'm going to see if I can get a time at Seaview right now.
Okay. I would say, when you're thinking about the organization aspect of that and the accessibility, I mean, I don't think it's probably the hardest thing to get a tee time. I think we could pop on there right now and get one for tomorrow afternoon if you wanted to. So I don't think it's one of those ones that's like, oh, you're never getting on, best of luck.
Yeah.
And I think the generic 8, I know that may sound high to some people, but I don't think we can give them a 10 because our circumstances in terms of like why we got treated so well was a little unfair to what the general public may see.
Right.
But it also shouldn't hinder how organized they are there.
100%. And you know what? I think, what did you say, 8, 9?
Yeah, I think 8 was a perfectly fair score on both sides of it.
Okay, and they have times tomorrow. You can jump
Right.
on the website. The website's easy to get to. You know what? I'm gonna again without taking that by just how easy that process was for me to jump on and get a tee time. I'm gonna go 9. I could have easily gotten a tee time at any time tomorrow. So I'm gonna say again for us it was super easy. But yeah, I think 9 just based on that. On course vibe. Well, other than playing like crap, thought it was pretty good. You know, you don't have people on top of you. I know you can get the green heads at some points. Yeah, I thought it was really good. I'm going to give that an 8, and I'm going to give my personal opinion on this. I like the course. I don't play well there. I've said that, but I like it. The views are spectacular. Again, the staff is friendly. Again, taking out our relationship with Jeff, or maybe more so my relationship with Jeff, I think, and I think Jeff's a great pro. I'm trying to, in a non-biased way, I think he does a great job. His staff was friendly. The outside operations were good. They're organized. The place was in great shape. People are friendly. It's easy in, easy out. I thought it was really good. Again, I think this is one where I wish I had half numbers because I think 8's too low. I feel like 9's a little high. I think it's right in that, like, if I were to say what was my experience there, I'd say it was a high mid 80s score. Yeah, I guess because of that, I guess I got to go 9 with it. So, and then we got additional notes here, Mike. Just like you, I think it was excellent. I had a lot of fun. The course was beautiful. It was really cool to play it before the ShopRite Cup with all the stuff going on. We got some cool pictures, some cool and different obstacles for us, which was nice. I know it can be a little pricey to get down there, but it's certainly a must play. The views are maybe as good as they get in New Jersey. There's very few courses that have better views than the Bay course at Seaview. So that would be my wrap up. You talk about like what it would be. I think it's an hour and a half course. I do. It's more expensive than Shore Gate, but it's really good as well. So I don't know what that equals.
I have to click that old submit button.
I got to put like you. And this is going to drive me fucking bananas, Mike. Why will this not show up? There it goes.
I fixed it for you.
83. All right, and like I said, I that's a little lower than I would have thought. I probably would have gone 86. That would have been my guess, 86, 87. And you know what? Maybe our flaw is that we need half numbers here. Because some of them I feel like I would like to give half points to. And you know what? Those half points might add up. You know what I mean?
I do. I mean, listen.
But that's why we're doing this, right? We said, like, hey, this is what we hashed this out. This is what we're doing. This is going to be it for this year. And if we need to reevaluate, we'll reevaluate in the wintertime. But for right now, this is what we got. And
I don't think it's a bad number. I mean, I can't lie. I don't know if I would have had it as high as that. I don't. But I think that's the important thing is that, listen, we're going to figure this thing out. You and I are going to have difference of opinions on different spots that we play. Some of us may like one more than the other, and that's just the nature of the beast. But I think that's a fair score. I do.
I'm trying to, like,
clearly,
I look at it.
Clearly, we're tough graders.
I look at it and I go, okay, Shore Gate beat it by 1. 1 is a little negligible, so, maybe that's not a huge difference. But it wasn't nicer than Little Mill, so I feel good about that. Could we have, 1 point, 2 points, that's greater, right? You did Shore Gate, I did Seaview, so that's just the greater on this. We'll have both of our scores, but that's me reviewing Seaview and Mike reviewing Shore Gate. We're gonna do it privately. Just have the numbers on the other one. I'll do Shore Gate. Mike will have Seaview, and we'll put it out there. But But that's what we're going with, all right? Mike, I think it's time to hear from the people.
Tequila tastes better when it's sunny. Sonny Seltzer is an alcoholic spirit derived from the agave plant and infused with seltzer water for an effervescent escape. Started by a New Jersey native, it's light, crisp, and goes down easily, both on and off the golf course. Currently available at over 50 retailers across New Jersey. Check out drinksunny.com to find it near you. Cheers to sunny days ahead. All right, Raj, so here we go. We're going to go back to From the Grandstands. And if you remember from last week, we're fortunate enough that we got a title, or I should say a segment sponsor for this. From the Grandstands is brought to you by Sonny Seltzer. Tequila tastes better when it's sunny. Remember, don't forget that. So cheers to sunny days ahead. So today's question is from Patrick from Sussex County. Here's his question. He wants to know your thoughts on course records.
My specific ones or both of ours?
Our guys.
Oh,
us,
okay.
Both of us. But
it sounded like he called me out personally there. That's why
he's not calling you out yet. Maybe after he listens to this, he might be calling you out. But he wanted to know your guys' thoughts and opinion on course records. Is a course record only recognized from the back tees, or should each tee box have its own course record? Obviously, junior golfers, seniors, and women play further up tee boxes. What do you guys think in terms of course records?
Mike, I think that's a good question. And I know we've touched upon that topic previously. I think we came to the consensus that it's the end of the... It's the back tees that needs to that qualifies. If you're going for a record, the record is the height of something, right? And to me, that's the back tees is the height of the golf course. That's the most challenging. It's going to be the toughest in theory, the toughest road to it. That's where the back tees are. Now, to me, that's a no-brainer, right? I don't know if there's anything that you could say that's going to waver me, and I don't think that you and I differ on this. But I will say this. I think that the other tees, like you could have if at the club they have a plaque for the course record. If you wanted to have no plaque, but just the course record's 59, but someone shot from the whites. I don't know if I would, I wouldn't necessarily advertise it, but if they want to talk about it, club lore, quote unquote. You know what I mean? I think that's fine to say. The course record at LACC. Do you know what it is? Yes, you do, because I texted it to you, actually. It's 59 by our boy Stu. Stu obviously has that from the backs. If somebody has something from the blues, the whites, and someone shot 60, so the low is 60 from the whites, and that's the lowest score from the whites, I'm not making a parade of that, but if they want to go around and the members of the club or the people that play it want to talk about it, I think that's fine. I think they could do that. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, to me, it's a no-brainer. I think when you're talking about the tradition of a golf course in terms of records, we've had this conversation multiple times on different episodes. It's back tees automatically, ball and hole automatically, and that's
no breakfast ball.
Yeah, it's over. It's done with to me. Now, I would say this because I know he also referenced women and they play different tee boxes. Well, to me, then the women would have their own course record as well.
100%, because the women can play from the farthest back that the women play from. Totally agree. Yeah, no, I assume that goes without saying.
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously he mentioned junior golfers, but to me, if the junior golfer wants a course record, he's got to get on the back end of either the male or the female tee boxes, whichever they are, and put it out there and go.
Right.
But if Stu shoots 59... And what's he calling
junior golfer? Is he calling an 18-year-old a junior golfer? Because I'm not, because I'll tell you, if he's talking about an 8-year-old who does it from the women's tees.
Still
Different
not counting
story than
Not counting it.
You're not
Not
okay.
a course record.
But I'm
Not a
saying
course
it's
record.
different than an 18-year-old that does it from, or
Yeah,
a 17-year-old
no doubt.
because they're still a junior doing it from the
Yeah.
women's tee. You know what I mean?
To me, that course record is back tees on your gender's boxes, and you go, whatever it is. And it's ball and hole. It's like there's no such thing as I'm slapping back the 18-incher on the last hole. Like, no, everything's going ball and hole. It's black tees, championship tees at that golf course, and that's it. You know, to me, I'm not entertaining, and maybe I'm very hard line on this, but I think you and I agree here that it is back tee box, no questions asked.
Yeah. I think I could be almost more hardline than I am, just because I'm never setting a course record. It's never in my realm unless I'm the very first person to play a golf course, and then I'll hold the record and I hole out first, because chances are I hold out. 45 seconds later, someone's making a putt to be lower than me. So that's the only way that I'm holding a course record. So I would agree with you. I think that it's the cream of the crop that are looking to do that, not someone who slaps it around, from the white tees and doesn't have, gets gimme putts and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that, like, to your point, that's not to negate that guy that goes out there and plays the white tees and shoots 60. Like, no,
Not at
great
all.
round,
Yeah.
phenomenal round, but it's not going in the books, in the men's grill, the women's grill as the course record. It's just not.
You want to talk about the course record's 61, but Mike shot a 60 from the white tees. You want to go like unofficially and say that's an unofficial record to me.
Yeah, but no, I think we both agree there. That's definitely the answer, and I think that just continues to go to our points moving forward. Like, you, as the audience member, you got a question, you got a comment, something to debate. Listen, toss it in our email, thedropgolfpodcast@gmail.com. You can DM us on Instagram @thedrop_pod. And listen, cheers to sunny days ahead, boy.
I like that. That's a good tagline. All right, so there's your From the Grandstand. As Mike said, shout us out. We want to hear from you guys. We're now going to send you to our interview with Jack Simon. As I said before, winner of the Big East Tournament 2023, down in Blufftonville, South Carolina, I believe is where that was. River something or other, I remember seeing. Jack's from Sparta, New Jersey, went to Sparta High School, did a year at IMG Academy, plays out of Rockaway River, again, went to St. John's. He's our 93rd guest from St. John's University. Again, he won the Big East Tournament as the individual. He then followed that up since then by winning the New York City Amateur. So again, New Jersey kid who's on at the beginning of his career and looking to do some great things. So make sure you stay around. Mike and Jack have a really fun interview. So here it is. Enjoy.
Matera's Italian Market and Catering Company is located in the heart of Rutherford, New Jersey at 72 Park Avenue and has everything you need for an authentic Italian table. Recently celebrating its 10-year anniversary, Matera's Italian Market brings all your senses alive as you walk in the door. Imported retail products, cheeses and cold cuts, freshly baked bread, and the creamiest fresh mozzarella. All can be ordered on the Matera's On Park app in Apple and Google stores. Above the market, a private space called The Loft can be reserved for intimate family parties, all the way to corporate events. So give them a follow on Instagram @Matera's Italian Market. Stop by and say ciao. Matera's. You'll walk in a stranger, leave as family. Okay, so today's guest is Jack Simon. Jack went to Sparta High School, then proceeded to go to IMG Academy down in Florida. He currently plays at a Rockaway River. A little background on Jack here is back in 2016, he led Sparta High School to a state title in golf. After IMG, he went off to St. John's University, where as a junior, he was a Ping All Northeast Region player. And then this past May, Jack had a huge month where in the beginning of the month, he won the Big East Individual Championship. He was the tournament winner. And then he proceeded at the end of the month to go down and win the New York City Amateur. Jack, I appreciate you coming on the show here and giving us some of your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd like to think that, maybe as this summer gets going, you'll become even more of a household name to, amateur golf because, obviously you've had a huge start to your month of May and wrapping that up. And then, looking ahead, why don't you give the audience a little bit of a background about yourself growing up here in the Garden State, playing golf, and then kind of like to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of been like a little bit of a long journey, I guess you could say. I didn't start playing competitive golf until 2016, junior year of high school. I was a big baseball player. I played baseball all year long, traveled the country, playing with club teams, travel teams. Played in high school my freshman, sophomore year. It kind of just didn't work out. I just really wasn't into it anymore. Some things with coaches, some like just normal things that I just didn't really like. So I moved on to playing golf. I did play golf my whole entire life. I grew up at Lake Mohawk up in Sparta. My dad taught me how to play. So, I mean, I would play maybe like once every 2 months, a few times a year, just for fun, see how it go. But really nothing like special. And then junior year, I dropped everything and just started to play golf, and I loved it. And I played golf junior, senior year. Took a post grad year at IMG Academy down in Florida, and then committed to St. John's in May of 2018. So it was late. I was kind of ready to go to other school, but something happened there, so it didn't really work out. And then the coach at St. John's reached out and asked me to join the team, and I did, and the rest is history, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we've been so fortunate on the podcast, Ryan and I, to have so many St. John's guys on. I mean,
Yeah,
when you think about, we've had Mark Costanza, he ended up at St. John's. Pat Wilson ended up at St. John's. Ryan
yeah,
McCormick ended up on St. John's, and now you. It's like there's something clearly special about that place because naming those other three, those are big time names in the world of New Jersey golf, and then kind of to add your name to that list is obviously something special. So I guess for the audience, why St. John's for you? Obviously, we've heard their stories as to why, but like why yours?
yeah. So, I mean, first thing, I actually grew up like watching basketball on TV, and it would always be St. John's, just Madison Square Garden and everything. It'd be pretty cool. So when I was at IMG, there was a school, College of Charleston. I really wanted to go there. I was talking to the coach, went down there, played in front of him. I was doing pretty well, and he ended up leaving to go to another school. So that kind of didn't work out there. And then it was like April, May, and I had a couple offers to schools, but I didn't really like them. And it just like Mal Galetta was the former coach at St. John's, reached out to me out of nowhere, and I saw it, and I think I was on a plane ride the next day going to visit St. John's, and then I went to go meet him, saw the campus, saw everything, and like a week later, I think I committed, and it was kind of nice too because I knew the history of St. John's, I knew how good they were. They have the most Big East championships at St. John's. It's a great program. It's a good conference. Um, and I was down in Florida for over a year, and right out of high school, and I was kind of homesick the first like 3 months, but I ended up loving it, and it was great. So kind of coming back to the Northeast and going to school there, and kind of being close to home was nice. So I could come home when I wanted to see my family, play golf at home, see my coaches. So it was kind of like it was like a great deal for me. So I really couldn't deny it.
Yeah, that sounds like that was always a big draw for the other guys about St. John's. Is like it's a family, and
Yeah, it was.
obviously that seems to be a major draw for you, and not only that type of golf family there, but then, like, still having the luxury to get home to see your, immediate family as well, kinda it's definitely, helps in a
Yeah,
lot of regards.
it was great. My a lot of my like so St. John's is great because we kind of get the best players from the Met section, if you could say. We do have. I mean, I'm my freshman year. I had one kid from Ireland, two kids from California, so we were all over the place. But at the same time, those like three or four studs from the Met section would always like somewhat end up at St. John's. So it was kind of cool. We played against each other in summer. We hung out. We hung out all the time. I mean, I would go visit. Instead of me coming to New Jersey, a couple of my friends would be or teammates would be in Long Island. I'd go there, or up in Westchester. I'd go there. So it was kind of nice that we could all hang out all year round, and we wouldn't really have to be away from each other. And we kind of formed bonds that way. And like say, four of my best friends in life are from St. John. So it was really amazing. It was great.
Yeah, that sounds like it, and that's obviously super helpful, especially on the mental side when it comes to golf. If you're in a good spot mentally, that just clearly helps so many other things. But let's talk a little bit about the Big East tournament. Because obviously doing my research and looking back, and I was following along, and then obviously, now being able to sit here and talk to you about it, it seemed like a unbelievable tournament, I think, in regards to like what I read. Now, obviously, when you read it and then you experience it, it is extremely different. And maybe it's a little more nerve wracking or whatnot on your end. But why don't you give a little bit of a background of that final round? Because obviously, the things I've read makes it sound like holy hell, this was like
It was pretty rough.
crazy. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it was absolutely crazy. The first 2 days was like it was 85 degrees, sunny. The wind was, I mean, maybe 5 to 10, maybe 15 the first day. The second day it was barely blowing, so it was really scoreable. And the course was less, like I think, not even a year old. So the fairways were not like everything was still hard as a rock. The greens were hard as a rock. You couldn't spin anything, so it was playing pretty difficult. Um, but it was fun though. I played such good golf the first 2 days. I shot 7 under through 2 rounds, and I was leading by four. And I mean, I was just striping it and just playing well. And the second day, I was 4 under through 8 holes, and I doubled the ninth hole from like 140 yards out. It was a horrible double, so I had it really going, and I came back and still shot 2 under on the back nine, which was nice to finish this to shoot 68. But the last day was tough. I mean, it rained probably like an inch and a half overnight, maybe 2 inches. We got up in the morning and it was just pouring all morning. And I didn't think we could play. We were driving down the driveway to the clubhouse, and like the first fairway was underwater. And I was
wow,
like, what is going on? And it was blowing like 30 miles per hour when we teed off. I remember it was like it was almost a drivable hole. It was like 340 the first hole, and I hit a 5 wood right down the middle, or 3 wood right down the middle, and it was in the middle of the air, and I picked up my tee. And the next thing I know, I look up from picking up my tee, and the ball was almost out of bounds. That's how
wow,
crazy the wind was.
wow,
So um, it was pretty crazy. I had a 4 shot lead. We were playing with Marquette and Seton Hall. Um, we really wanted to win as a team. Like we had it going. We were playing well. The first day we kind of shot ourselves in the foot. We didn't play very well the first day as a team. So we really wanted to play well. And the first hole, I hit it way left, hit it in the bunker, and kind of not really skull it, but I caught too much ball, hit it over the green, and got up and down for bogey. So second hole, I made par, but the kid from Marquette made eagle. So now, like, think the lead. I don't really remember, but the lead was probably down to two after this. And then the third hole came around, made a par. The fourth hole, I hit it over the green and hit it to like 4 feet, and the wind was blowing. I missed a 4 footer, so that was for bogey. Probably lead was down to one. And then the fifth hole was like a 160 yard par three. They changed it all 3 days. It went from like 190 to 110 and then the 170, and I stuck it to like 3 feet, and I ended up missing that as well. So it was like, I had so many, I had so many opportunities to like not even make it a tournament without sounding too much of a asshole. I guess you can cut this out, but
No, it's good. It's honest.
so so I missed like 2 3-footers the first 5 holes. One was for birdie, one was for par. And we get to the next hole, and I blow this thing my driver way right. And I end up hitting a provisional, but we found this first ball, and it was in the mulch bed. Like, I just chunked it out. And then I had like 40 yards over a hill where I couldn't see the pin, and I had to land it like 10 yards short. It was like up the hill, down the hill, and I landed it just short, and it trickled on to like 3 feet. It was a great up and down, and I ended up making par, which was great. And then we got a par 5. The first 2 days I hit it on the green and lipped out for eagle both days. So the second day I hit it right down the middle, hit it in front, and I chip it to like 3.5 feet above the hole, little left to right slider, and lip out again for like 3-footers in a row. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like, this hasn't, like, what is going on? And so we get to the 8th hole, and we're in the middle of the fairway. And the rules officials, for some reason, I don't know why, but they just would not let us play lift clean in place. After it rained like an inch and a half, it was like bonkers. No one could believe themselves. I don't know if they're trying to be like the USGA or something, or Hardos, but it was like crazy. And so we get to the 8th hole, and I got a massive mud ball. And the other 2 kids in my group took relief took relief. They were able to get relief, and I wasn't, for some odd reason. And so I hit it like way left center of the green. It was probably like a 60-yard green, and I ended up three jacking it for another bogey. So I think I'm now like 2 over. No, I'm 3 over right now through 8, and then I get to the 9th hole, and I have like a 5-footer, and I miss it again to go for another par to go 4 over, and it was brutal. And everyone was playing good. I think one kid shot under par today that round. It was 30 to 40 miles per hour, steady winds with gusts up to 45, 50. Like, when I was on the 12th hole, it was in the trees. I honestly thought there were going to be trees falling on us. But I ended up bogeying 10. I made a great par on 11. I hit it in the trees, hit it from the trees onto the green and parred it. And then from there, it's kind of like not smooth sailing, but it was like, okay, like, we're going to get something going here. And so I made a par on the 12th hole, which is a par 3. 14th hole made par. 15th hole almost lipped out for birdie. And we're getting 15, which is a reachable par 5. And the Marquette kid in my group, I think, has a one-shot lead. He has a one-shot lead. And I'm just in front of the green. He's over the green. It's a back pin, and he chips first and lips out for eagle. So he has a tap and birdie. So now he has a two-shot lead before I finish, and I flubbed my chip. Like, I had to hit it like it was like a 30-yard high flopper over a bunker. It was so wet. It was brutal. And I didn't flub it, but I didn't hit it hard enough, and it ended up like hitting the hill and rolling back down to like 30 feet. And I ended up 2-putting this and getting out of the way. And then we get to 16
So you're 2 down. You're 2 down going into 16.
2 down going into 16. Yeah.
After having a 4-shot lead to start the day.
Yeah, that's how bad it was. It was brutal.
Wow.
It was like I would never once gave up. Never once was like, this is this is bad. But I was like I don't know, just keep on chugging along. Maybe something would happen. I never thought that I was going to have a chance, to be honest with you, even though like I never told myself that.
Right.
So we get to the 16th hole. I hit it on the green at 2. I make my par, and the Marquette kid hits it short, hits it on the green, and makes like a 7-footer for par. And it's really just me and him going back and forth at this point.
Right.
And
so 2 down now, 2 to go.
Yeah, 2 down, 2 to go. And at this point, I knew that we didn't have a team chance to win, because we were winning all day. And then the last like 6 holes, we kind of fell off, and we ended up losing by, I think, 3 shots. But 17 comes along. It's like a 225 par 3, dead into the wind. And I hit it to like 20 feet, and this kid hits it way right, hits it on the green and bogeys. And I just missed my birdie putt. So now I'm one down going in the 18. I hit it dead center of the fairway, and the other kid hits it right side, which is fine. He lays up, and my coach and I were sitting there, and I had 263 dead into the wind, and there's a lake that runs up the entire left. It's like Sawgrass at 18. It's like 18 at Sawgrass, except a par 5. So
Gotcha.
there's just water up the whole left side. And I take out my 3 wood. I was like, Coach, like, we got to go for it, right? He's like, I don't know. We should maybe lay it up, do this, do that. He said to me, in 40 years from now, are you going to be pissed that you didn't go for the green? And I was like, yeah, probably. But at the same time, like one bad wind gust, one bad something, and I could hit a good shot, and the wind could just take it in the water, and just tournament's over. And so we dial in a yardage. I hit a 6-iron up there, like 50 yards in front of the green, and it's a front left pin. Greens are hard. I mean, front right pin. The greens are hard as a rock, and there's like a bunker right. There's a bunker like right side of the green, just short, and then the pin is like tucked to the left of it, about like 4 paces on. And I hit this thing to like, I don't know, 10 feet. Wasn't that great. 10, 12 feet. Wasn't that great of a shot. Maybe even 15 feet. I don't know. I say 12 feet. And this kid hits it way back, like long of the green, and 3. So he has like a 45-footer for birdie. He lags it up there to like 7 feet. And I have this like 12, 15-footer in that range, left to right slider, breaking about 1.5 feet to make it to tie.
Yeah.
To
Gotta
do
make
something,
it.
and I just drain it, and it was insane. Like it was crazy. I was like, there was no way I ever had a chance after the front 9. Like I wasn't making any putts. I didn't make one putt all day. Like not one putt outside.
You made the one that matters.
Yeah, I didn't make one putt outside of like 7 feet all day, and I made this like 12-footer slider left to right. It was crazy. And then this kid had like a 6-footer. And he just made it. He like lipped it in and made it. And I was like, okay, playoff time. And so we went back to the 18th hole.
Now, real quick, is the playoff just sudden death, or is it a 3-hole sudden death?
Yeah,
okay.
It's not like any like 1, 2, 3 hole aggregate. Just
gotcha.
Sudden death.
Okay.
And so the tee shot is over the water. So if you're pitching like a slight dogleg left, but you don't tee off like on the right side. You tee off across the water, and then you ride up the water going up. So I think I go first because I made a birdie on the last hole, and I hit this thing way right into the trees, like into like pine. There's probably I don't know, 40 yards of fairway, all pine trees, bunker, car path, pine straw, and then hazard. And he hits it like left center of the fairway, which was good. And I'm on the cart path. My ball's on the cart path. But if I take relief, I'm in a tree. Like I'm in the pine straw on a tree, no shot whatsoever. So I have to hit this thing off the cart path. And it was like I was under trees. So I hit, and there was a bunker out there about 185 that I had to carry a bunker 185, but get it under trees. I had to like start this thing 10 feet in the air for the first like 50 yards, and then get it to be able to rise up to carry the bunker from 100.
It's like a video game. It's like a video game.
It was the sickest shot I've ever hit in my entire life. And all my teammates are lined up like right on the right side, and you can hear them tell the story better than I do. But like I'm on the car path, I get my 4-iron out, and I have to hit this thing like a tiger stinger, but even lower. Like started like 5 feet, 10 feet above the ground, and let it rise to 200 yards. And I get this thing, and I just rip it, and I do the exact thing that we wanted to do, and it was crazy. I didn't leave one mark on my 4-iron. Like it was insane. And I'm sure like the kid I was playing against was probably like, we have this in the bag. Like there's just no chance. And so he lays up. And he actually lays up to like 20 yards in front of the green, like 30 yards in front of the green. And I think it was 61 yards to his front left pin, like no chance at all, into the wind. And I hit it to 8 inches. I hit this wet shot to 8 inches. and then he hits it to like 12 feet and misses it, and I just had to tap it in and I won, and that was
That's
it.
crazy.
It was
That's
wild. It was
crazy.
pretty wild. It
I
was,
mean,
it
I
was
mean,
great.
the roller coaster that you rode in that last round alone validates the stories that I was reading beforehand. Like, because it basically it made it sound like this was like a cakewalk to victory until the final day came, and
I
then all
would
of
have
a
just had
sudden,
to shoot like I would have had to shoot like even, one over, two
right?
over, one by two or
Which
three, and
was yeah, and
which
the
was
way you were
doable
playing,
because I missed so many putts on the front nine, and it was just,
yeah.
and I was playing such good golf, and it was like crazy. It was pretty crazy.
But I think that's a good lesson because we have a lot of high school kids that listen and follow, and they'll DM us about certain things because, you know, your name resonates more with some of them, and obviously I play a little more competitive golf than Ryan, so like I know your names and
Mhm.
some of the accomplishments you have. But I think that's a good lesson for a lot of kids when, they are playing so well that sometimes like it's not always going to go that well. And on the mental side, like what's something that you would say to a younger kid that, hey, listen, like obviously we all know golf is really hard, but
Yeah.
like it's always easy to say it, but how do you put that into action?
I try not to. Me and my one teammate Gage, who's also from New Jersey. He's down in Sewell, New Jersey, way south. He actually
Yeah,
caddies at Pine Valley every day. He
there
won
you
like
go.
cat. He was like J Plaque caddy of the year. He's an unbelievable caddy, unbelievable player, everything. And me and him have a thing. It's like each shot is a mission, and there's see how many missions you can complete each round. So if you want to shoot 68, or even if you shoot 68, you can accomplish like 66 out of those 68 missions. So it's not whether like you're out there and you hit one bad shot and the round's over. Like, because I used to be like that when I was younger, and I'm sure a lot of kids are. They have one bad hole, two bad holes, and it's like, damn, fuck this. I'm just putting it in the bag. Like this is over.
100%.
But yeah, I try to treat it like every single shot is a goal or a mission, and just see how many you can complete throughout the round.
I
That's
love
that's
that.
like
I love that.
number one. That's like probably the number one thing I would say to younger kids is you have to like kids can shoot 8 over through like 14 holes and then just somehow hole out from the fairway on like 12, and then they make three birdies in a row and you're right back in it, and they don't even know that because they just given up after the first like 4 or 5 holes.
Yeah.
So it's
It's like
and
mission
that
accomplished.
yeah, that comes from learning too. So comes from a lot of failures, a lot of learning, but that's that's my biggest advice I think I'd give the younger golfers would be just treat whether you're 10 over through 17 holes, you still have like 3 4 more missions to complete on the last hole. So just see how many you can do and work your way up.
Yeah, so I mean that story is a great story. Which obviously you finished that Big East tournament, you're feeling really good, even though that last round may have not have went, the whole way. You got the end result that you wanted, but then you obviously, head north a little bit and go play in the New York City Amateur. And again, just doing my research, obviously you must have felt very confident going into that event. Like, all right, I'm playing good golf. I'm coming off a
Yeah.
huge win. Talk a little bit about that victory there as well, because if I saw correctly, you won another playoff in that thing too.
I won in the first playoff, birdied the first hole. But so retrack a little bit. When we went to regionals for at Michigan State, it wasn't uh, my confidence was up, but I for some reason my swing just was not good. So I wasn't playing well there, and my swing just didn't feel good, and it just nothing was really working, to be honest with you. And there was like a long story that happened with the rules officials. Me and another kid ended up just being the only two kids in the entire field to get a penalty, I believe, for slow play, which was absurd. And
Wow,
that
I didn't
kind
even
of
know
like
that. I
kind of
didn't even know that exists anymore.
yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. And so that happened, and that kind of like brought it down a little bit. But I got back with my coach. We worked for we always work every day, talking to each other, whatever it is. And I found something in my swing about like shifting my hands out, and it really helped me. So I got into that, and like I've gotten to the point where, without trying to sound like an asshole or anything like that, if my swing is good enough, when you get to a certain spot in college, or like everyone, like all my teammates can say this too. Our swing is good enough to win any event you play, and it's really just a matter of your mental. So my mental was getting better, and I wasn't really. I was just going into this tournament like just trying to play golf, and I was ready to leave this tournament after the first like 6 holes. I was like, because the first 6 holes I think I was like 2 over par, and I was like, oh, this is horrible. My mom was caddying for me, and I was like, I don't even want to be here. It's Memorial Day week, and I don't know. Yeah, it was pretty bad, and I had a bad mental, and I actually got back into it. I started playing well, and I birdied the last 3 holes of the first round to finish 1 under.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, this is fine. And then the second round, I birdied the first hole, and the second round was just kind of smooth sailing. Like I shot 69. It wasn't that like spectacular. It wasn't that bad. It was just average. It was just a good round of golf. And then the last round, I was playing well. It was the first hole is a reachable par five. You hit like driver down the hill, and you have anywhere from 6 iron in to 8 iron, maybe 5 iron. And I hit it way right, and I duffed this chip, and then I ended up making a great par. So that kind of helped me steady it out. But I was like, I think I was 2 under through. I was 2 under through 8, and I was just making bad mistakes on the back nine. On 10, I was in front of the green for on a par five and two, and I parred it. 11, I parred. 12, I made a great up and down for par. 13, I missed a 6 footer. On 14, I missed an 8 footer. On 15, these are all for birdie. On 15, I missed it was like a slider left to right about 4 feet, but I missed it was probably 8 feet. I missed probably like 7 putts on the final round under 10 feet for birdie. So
Wow.
it could have been like so much better than it was, but it wasn't. And then I ended up birdieing 18, 17, which is great. It was a par five. I birdied 17, and the thing about this tournament was there was no like live scoring, or there was nothing about it. So you just had to go out and play golf and see how it was.
That's
And
like
so
ancient in the world we live in today.
yeah, it was crazy. And on 18, I had like 120 yards to the pin, and I short sided myself, and I ended up lipping out for bogey. So I made bogey to an 18 to shoot 2 under. And Matt Lowe, who's a great player from Long Island, won the Ike, like turned pro. He just got his AM status back. Like he's a phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal player in the men's section. And he actually was in the same spot I was on 18 and hit this insane flop shot. I remember watching it, flop shot to tie me to go into a playoff. And the funny thing is when we got done with the round and I went to go sign my scorecard, my mom took my bag and put it in the car because we thought we had I thought I had no chance. And so they were like, oh yeah, like Matt has to get up and down to tie you to go in the playoff. I was like, oh wow, okay. And so got into a playoff. I ripped my drive like right down the middle on a par five. I hit 8 iron on the green and two, and just two putt for birdie. And Matt made par, and it was kind of like it was nowhere near the pressure I had at Big East because maybe I was in that situation already, and maybe it wasn't as big of a win as Big East, but it was still fun and still it was a good win. But since I was in that position already, I think that I like kind of knew what it took or knew what I had to do in order to get the win.
Yeah, I think experiences like that, regardless of, in a sense, how big the tournament is to you, being there, learning from it, and then executing it
Yeah.
carry a lot of weight. And then when you're in that situation the second time, you're able to rely on a lot of positive memories in situations like that. And obviously, again, that's, I think, credit to you to not giving up in the Big East tournament because, like you just said earlier, you could have easily thrown it in the towel. And then obviously, when
Yeah.
it comes to the New York City Amateur, it's kind of like the same thing. Like you kind of thought maybe you were done. Your mental state, you're kind of maybe getting in the car with mom, and then you realize, nope, we're going back to a playoff, and you've been there before. You've had success and you're able to rely a little bit on that. So, I thought those were two huge wins in the month of May. Obviously, yes, I
Yeah.
guess.
It was really good. It was fun. After I haven't had a tournament since then, so I actually had the Ike qualifier. I had to qualify for the Ike, which I did. But I have that in a couple weeks. But yeah, I've had like 2.5 weeks off. I've just been working a little bit, practicing every day. So just trying to get ready to
Yeah,
get
so
ready to
I
get
I
ready.
did I did some research because obviously I'm a Manasquan River guy. I did look in there and I saw that your name is listed as a participant in the New Jersey, amateur.
I am, yeah.
Um, what have you played the golf course before?
I've not. There's a member at Rockaway River who's also a member there, so he's taking me out in a couple weeks to go play. We'll see how it is. I actually just got an email before we got on about practice rounds. Um, my family, we always go to Bayhead / Maniloking for
Uh-huh.
the summer. My aunt has a house there, and we used to rent for the summer. So at least like me and three of our families used to rent a big house for the summer. So it would be I love like it's awesome down there. It's our home for the summer, and there's really nothing better than that area. And I've heard nothing bad about Manasquan. I've heard it's two totally different nines. I
That
could
it
be
is.
wrong
That
on
it is. I don't. And the
that,
sad thing is, I grew up there.
okay.
Dad was a club champion.
Uh,
Grandfather was a member there. Uncle's still a member there. Like, so I can tell
yeah.
you, and even on all these podcasts that Ryan and I do, we always talk about like, what's my favorite spot? And I'm like, I'm biased, but it is that spot. And I think that's the one tournament that I, see everybody's name in, and I'm like, because I always joke around, but like you guys are so damn good at golf that really what it comes down to is like who's rolling the putts and the putter the best because you guys
I
all
agree.
hit it so good. You guys all can get it so close, but like who can make the putts? And I think, like you just described, like that front nine and back nine are legitimately, you wouldn't even know that the same golf course.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't want to spoil anything for you because I'd love to hear what you have to say about it after the fact. Um, but I will say this is when you walk, and I say this ahead of time, when you walk from the 16th green to the 17th fairway, at
Yeah.
17th tee box, just look around and take a couple pictures and be like, wow, this is a view. Because I tell people that all the time. That is definitely
Yeah.
number one.
I'm really looking forward to it. And the state opens at Hackensack this year, which is one of my other favorite courses in Jersey. So um, it should be good. It should be a fun summer. I have a bunch of other tournaments too. I'm looking forward to. So we'll see
And
how
then
it goes.
what are your plans, I guess, moving forward? Like I did read a couple things that you have aspirations to go pro and kind of, you
Yeah.
know,
So
dabble in that scene.
depending on this summer, I'm still finishing up my MBA. Uh, I'm finishing up some classes for my MBA, but that really could. I mean, I could do that. It doesn't really matter. I could do like 3 classes a semester, 1 class a semester. So that's not really, I'm not really worried about that. But
Hmm.
depending on how I play this summer, maybe go to Q school in the fall. If not, I'll turn pro next year and see how it goes from there.
Right. Yeah. So I did see that. And I think that's, I mean, listen, someone of your caliber, there's no doubt that that's a strong possibility. And I understand that, I talk to guys like you and they're like, listen, they're all like me out there. But, when you have the confidence and you have been successful, it's kind of like, why not me?
Yeah, right. That's how, yeah, it's how it works. If everyone can kind of, I mean, there are certain guys that just hit it better than others, but uh, when you get it going and you have that momentum, it's just all about carrying it and taking it to the next level and just like trying to never let it go. So that's really, I think, kind of like the main thing I got to learn or keep working at is when you have that momentum to keep it going and to really not let it go and see how far or long it could take you. And then when you
Yeah.
don't have it, to grind it out and be a little gritty.
Yeah. So I got a couple more questions here, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Like obviously, being a very good golfer like yourself, like, what are some things that you do that, leading into the tournament that helps prepare you for it? Like, are you practicing specific things? Are you working on specific things? Like, what is some of like your pre-tournament preparation like?
Um, I'm usually like working on the things that haven't been really going too well. Maybe if I know the course like extremely well, I'll be able to like picture some shots that I need to hit. Like for Big East, I know the first hole, I always had to rip a 5 wood off, so I'd be practicing that, or certain shots like that where I knew and obviously I don't know any shots at Manasquan, but if I knew like certain shots that I need to hit like a high fade, or like for example at Mid Pines, we had a tournament every year in down North Carolina, Mid Pines, and the ninth hole is like this high faded like drivable green, so I could practice that a little bit leading up to it. But other than that, not really. The biggest thing for me is kind of trying to get on the right sleep schedule. Waking up, I hate like I don't really wake up late, so I hate like waking up late before tournaments and not really, because you know that one morning you're gonna have an early tee time, so I don't want to be like drowsy for that. So I try to, no matter if I'm on a 2 weeks off break, 3 week offs, I wake up same time every 5:30 to 6:30 every morning just to like get going, get to the gym, and that's like my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt, routine based is definitely, it prepares you for everything, and I completely agree there. Um, and I guess, obviously there are a couple, one other question I'm going to say, I'll ask Ryan's at the end, but like, I know obviously as golfers, our goal here is to kind of travel the state, play golf, talk golf, and enjoy as much golfing in the Garden State as we can.
Yeah.
And so my question to you is like, is there a certain spot, both private and public, that you would recommend to the audience that like, hey, listen, if you've never
Yeah.
been there, you got to go check it
Note
out. And
already. Yeah.
oh, you do.
Oh yeah.
You got a public and a private.
Oh yeah. Without even
Ah, I love this. Let's hear
without
it.
even.
Let's hear it.
Public is the Knoll West, in Parsippany.
Yep.
It's a Charles Banks course. My dad was a member there for growing up ever since he was a little kid. Um, One of my favorite designers, if not my favorite, is Charles Banks, and it's a Banks course like from like no one else. It's just pure Charles Banks course. It kind of went through a rough patch a couple years ago, where they got a new superintendent, and I actually played there last Wednesday, and the place was just phenomenal. It's just like that old school, old vibe, northeast, like Banks, Rainer, that type of course. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like so good. And I might have like a little bias towards it. My parents got married there. My dad was a member there, so maybe I have a little bias to it. My grandfather grew up there, but the history there is insane. It's just like a pure, sick, unbelievable golf course. I always say that if I became like it's owned by the town or run by the town, and I always said like if I became like a billionaire, I would try to buy the course from them, make it private. That's what I say to
Yeah,
everyone.
I
Uh,
love it. I
and,
love it.
and then for a private course, Arcola's I think the best, by far the best course in the state. I've never played Pine Valley, but Arcola is by far the best course in the state or in the Met area to me, and I've played every everywhere. I think the only two courses I really haven't played are probably like Shinnecock or National. Other than that, I've played Southampton, the Bridge, Sabonic, all the courses out in Long Island.
Mhm.
Glen Oaks was our pretty much one of our home courses. So
It's
you know,
funny
if
you
you,
say it's funny you say Arcola because Chris Dimmick, who's the head pro at Manasquan River, and I are very good friends, and we talk, and we had him on, back in December, and we asked him the same question, like, take your bias out of your spot where you're at, and he swears by Arcola.
it
That's so
is
funny you say it because he's like, dude, I've played Pine Valley. He's like, I've played them all.
yeah.
Arcola is the best one.
It's just I know a lot of people there. I'm close with a good amount of people there, and whether it's from like the staff there to the grounds crew to it's just, have you played there? It's like
I
it is so
haven't. I haven't. It's funny because Chris and I talk about it all the time, and then Ryan and I bring it up, like, hey, listen, like, man, Arcola
yeah.
just
You
keeps
walk
popping up.
like you walk up, like the first hole goes kind of down from the clubhouse. It's on a hill, so if you're when you're sitting on the clubhouse terrace, you get the entire view of the city, of the skyline.
Wow.
It's like it's unbelievable, and you get like you go down and you work your way up to like the fourth, fifth tee box, and it's just the entire view of the city, and it is the purest greens, purest course, like the best holes. It's like and then like kind of like no one really knows about it because it's like right off the highway. It's right off the parkway. Like you can
Yeah.
during the winter you can see it really kinda, but not during summer because the leaves are growing in. And like the little driveway leading up, like it's just like so secluded, like but it's just right there in the middle of Paramus, New Jersey, which is crazy. And they did have the USM there last year, but it's just like it's so perfect. And it's only golf. There's no pool. It's just pure golf.
Yeah,
So it's just
that's the
little
best.
happy.
I always think
Yeah.
to me that is like that's how you know a lot of times like, and I don't want to say it's like narrow minded or one way street, but like that's the focus. And if you're a
Yeah.
golf diehard, like that's really what you're looking for. You're not really looking for the pool and the aesthetics that come with that. Like, give me the damn golf course.
Exactly. It's really just yeah, it's just amazing. It's just
Yeah.
an amazing place, and I think they have like a little over 100 single digit handicappers. Like
Wow.
their players are
They're golfing.
like
They're golfing.
they win the Hoffman Cup every year. Like they're
Mhm.
so good. Like they just have the best players.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's funny you say that because that is a definite popular spot that we hear a lot. And then I guess I got two questions here to end, and I always end with that one, but I know Ryan always likes to ask these fun two ones here at the end. So the first one is like, as golfers, we are all a little quirky, I like to say, by nature. We all have, whether we want to call them superstitions or habits or things that we go to. Is there anything specific that you do before you play? Like we've heard anything from like only two tees. I don't tie my shoes before I get on the golf course. Like,
Yeah,
do you have
so
any of them?
I used to do like 6 tees or 4 tees, but I kind of go away from it now. I I I remember watching like Max Scherzer talk about like superstitions, and I used to be a big superstition guy. And Max Scherzer one time said, like I'm good enough. Like why do I need something to like try to make me think I'm better than I really am? Like I've got myself here. Like I'm playing. I don't need things to like help me out to play better. So that kind of stuck with me. So I kind of am trying to go away from it. But not. I used to like double tap things twice, meaning like just hit. If I hit my shoe twice, I'd do it twice on the golf course. It was kind of weird, but I've gotten away from that. I use the same ball marker, my grandfather's ball marker. Other than that, no, not really. Do one thing. I only use a black Sharpie. I only use a black Sharpie. I don't use colored Sharpies. I'm kind of a classic guy, so black all the way.
Does it
But that's
matter
it.
if it's
Yeah.
a wooden tee or a plastic tee?
I hate plastic tees. Can't stand plastic tees.
You sound
Yeah.
like Brad Tilley. When we had Brad Tilley on a couple weeks ago, he said, "I swear by wooden tees, I will not use a plastic tee."
If I have like I had a one of my teammates or one of my best friends, Ryan Rittberger, his dad's the head pro at Garden City, and they have wooden tees and plastic tees. But I for some reason one day put a lot of plastic tees from there. And I had one yesterday playing black oak with my uncle, and I had it on the first tee, and I was like, then I just threw it on the ground. I cannot stand plastic tees. They bend, and I just don't know. I just
That
don't like.
that's funny. Yeah, that's funny because even like when we ask everybody that question, we're always dying to hear what people say. And when we call them superstitions, things like that, we had Stu Hagestad on in March, and he's like, let's call them habits because we're
Yeah,
all, he's like superstition gets a bad rap
that's
sometimes.
what I. Yeah, that's why I hate. That's what I brought the Max Scherzer thing. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't like to think that I do this because it's that's the only reason why I play good. I just don't think that's the right
Yeah,
thing to do.
no, listen, I totally get that. And then the last question we have is just a fun one. Obviously, in New Jersey, there's a big time debate in terms of like what that breakfast meat is called when you put it
Oh,
on
it's
a
Taylor Ham.
sandwich.
Taylor
Taylor
Ham on
ham.
the way. Yeah, man.
Yeah, you're a North Jersey guy. I
If
kind of
my if
figured
my
that.
friend Gage, if one of my boys Gage was on, it would be pork roll all day long.
Yeah, it's pork roll
But
for
he's
us
from
all
South
day
Jersey.
long.
Yeah, yeah, no, not pork roll. Taylor Ham.
Yeah. See, it's so funny because we know we've gotten to the point now when we ask people like, all right, we know where they're from, so it's
Yeah,
a lock. And Ryan's thing is always like, he'll text me while the interview's going on. He's like, it's either pork roll or Taylor ham. And now I just know, like anywhere like kind of like above the Driscoll Bridge, it's always Taylor ham.
yeah.
But
I don't know, just Taylor Ham for me. That's what maybe
yeah,
because I yeah, just Maybe because we
Well,
grew
listen,
up eating that specific pork roll, because it's called Taylor Ham's pork roll, right? Isn't that what it is, really?
it's pork roll.
Yeah.
I'm not budging, but I will say this: when you come down to Manasquan River, you go into one of the shops, go get a pork roll and cheese, and you'll leave there like, all right, what Mike said was accurate. So
All right, I will. I
yeah,
will.
but listen, I appreciate you coming on the show here.
Sure.
Giving us an hour of your time, and listen, best of luck
Thank you,
tournaments
man.
this summer. I'll be sure checking in and seeing how things are going. So I appreciate it a lot.
Thank you very much. And I had a great time. Anytime you guys want me on in the future, I'm more than welcome to come on, and wish you guys all the luck. All of the luck.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Talk soon, Jack.
Thank you very much. I'll see you later, man.
See ya.